There's a moment most people recognize, but rarely admit. You've thought about this decision for weeks. You've listed the pros and cons. You know what the right move probably is. Maybe it's a career shift. Maybe it's ending something that isn't working. Maybe it's finally committing to a change you've delayed for years. And then the moment arrives. The email draft is open. The conversation is about to happen. The form is one click away from submission. And something changes. Your thinking tightens. Your certainty softens. Your focus, which felt stable just hours ago, begins to fragment. You hesitate. You overanalyze. Or you rush into the safer, smaller option. Later, you tell yourself you lost focus. But that's not what happened. Focus didn't disappear because the decision was hard. It collapsed because the decision mattered. And that distinction changes everything. Most people misdiagnose this moment. They say, I need stronger discipline. I need better focus. I should try harder next time. But effort isn't the problem. The real issue is governance. Under pressure, something inside you begins voting differently. When stakes are low, long-term reasoning has influence. When stakes rise, immediate relief gains power. And if you don't understand this shift, you'll keep blaming yourself for something structural. There's an ancient decision model that describes this precisely. It explains that when emotional intensity rises, clarity becomes distorted. When clarity is distorted, memory of your principles weakens. When that memory weakens, judgment falters. And when judgment falters, decisions degrade. Notice the sequence. Emotion doesn't destroy intelligence. It disrupts access to it. Under pressure, your mind doesn't become incapable. It becomes crowded. And crowded systems don't think clearly. Here's what's actually happening. Every decision consumes cognitive bandwidth. When you're calm, most of that bandwidth is available for evaluation, comparison, and long-term reasoning. But when the outcome carries risk, rejection, loss, embarrassment, uncertainty, emotional load begins occupying space. Your internal system now has two competing demands. One part of you is asking, what's the correct move long term? Another part is asking, how do I reduce discomfort right now? As pressure increases, the second voice becomes louder, not because it's smarter, because it's urgent. Urgency narrows attention. Your mental field shrinks. Options that were visible yesterday feel distant. Subtle, long-term benefits fade. Immediate relief becomes disproportionately attractive. And then, something subtle happens. You stop referencing your original reasoning, not consciously, but structurally. The principles you wrote down last week, the clarity you felt in a calm state, become harder to access. This is why people say, I knew better. They did, but knowing and accessing are not the same thing. Under pressure, memory of long-term intent weakens first. And when that memory weakens, action defaults to what feels safer in the moment. That's the collapse. Not distraction, not laziness, a governance shift. So what actually fixes this? Not stronger willpower, not trying to hold focus. The solution is something much more precise. I call it the focus return model. It's built on one core idea. Focus is not something you maintain perfectly. It's something you return to deliberately. There's an overlooked insight in classical decision philosophy that says, the mind will wander, it will drift, it will react. The instruction is not to eliminate drift. The instruction is to notice it and bring it back, repeatedly. That shift changes the entire strategy. Instead of asking, how do I never lose focus? You ask, how quickly can I detect and correct drift? The focus return model has 4 components. First, pre-commit before pressure. Decide in calm conditions what your standards are. Write them. Make them visible. Reduce ambiguity. When the moment arrives, you are not inventing clarity. You are executing a prior decision. Second, reduce the decision surface. Under pressure, too many variables amplify emotional noise. Narrow your criteria. If this opportunity doesn't meet these 3 conditions, it's no. If this habit doesn't align with this principle, it's out. Constraint protects cognition. Third, design a default response. When clarity drops, what happens automatically? Do you delay? Do you overtalk? Do you retreat? Replace that default with a preset action. For example, when uncertainty spikes, pause for 24 hours. When anxiety rises, review the written standard. When tempted to reverse, reread the original reason. This is not motivational. It's architectural. Fourth, and most important, practice the return. You will drift. You will feel the pull towards safety. You will experience narrowing. The key is speed of correction. Notice the moment your thinking shrinks. Notice when relief starts dominating reasoning, and bring your attention back to the standard you defined earlier. Not once, repeatedly. This is what people misunderstand. High performers are not people who never feel pressure. They are people who return faster. They detect distortion early. They don't panic when focus shifts. They reset again and again. And this model doesn't apply only to career decisions. It appears in health. You plan long-term discipline. Stress rises. You default to comfort. It appears in relationships. You intend to communicate clearly. Emotion spikes. You revert to defensiveness. It appears in identity. You commit to becoming someone more decisive. Risk shows up. You shrink to familiarity. Different domain, same pattern. Pressure increases. Emotional load rises. Memory of principles weakens. Judgment narrows. Unless you've built a return system. So the next time you feel focus collapsing, when something matters most, don't label yourself undisciplined. Ask a better question. What just took control of the vote inside me? Did urgency override clarity? Did relief override intention? And what standard did I forget to reference? The goal changes. You don't try to become someone who never drifts. You become someone who notices drift quickly. You become someone who returns. That is governance. That is discipline under pressure. And that is how clarity survives when it matters most.